great to be here. It was a great meal. Really appreciate the people who prepared it. And it's interesting because my wife, actually I converted to Catholicism. My wife was Catholic. I grew up Methodist. And my wife convinced me to convert. And she's a spiritual woman, and she takes it a little bit far when it comes to cooking. She really goes with the biblical perspective. So she offers up a lot of raw sacrifices and burnt offerings. So it's good to have this food here. If any of you repeat this, okay, I'm going to deny. Like the cock crowed 3 times, all right? I'm going to deny. Then I said that. I'll tell you, before I kind of talk a little bit about, kind of the meat of my talk, it's good to have all the people here and looking at me. And the last time I had this many people in a religious gathering looking at me, it was a little different circumstances. So I might as well tell you about that. And I met, who was a guy from spent time in Syracuse. I walked in. Oh yeah, Andy, right? Yeah. And I was the basketball coach at Lemoyne College, and I converted to Catholicism probably a couple of years earlier, and I was the basketball coach at Lemoyne College, a good Jesuit school in Syracuse, New York, and had the opportunity to go over to Portugal with 2 other coaches to do a series of clinics and lectures. It was really neat. We did clinics for the youth. And then we do coaches clinics at night. We have for a week. They treated us great. And I didn't know a word of Portuguese, but never had to speak Portuguese. I mean, everyone spoke English. If we had to, we had an interpreter talking to the kids. Went everywhere, absolutely no problem. And I was over there with 2 other coaches, and I decided Sunday that I should go to mass and and go in a Portuguese church and see what that was all about. So I convinced these other 2 guys to go with me. They didn't want to go. Come on, guys, this is part of the culture. You got to learn. You got to grow. You got to expand your horizons. So we went to mass, and we walk up there and say, "You guys Catholic?" They said, "No." I'm like, "It's really no problem. Just do what the guy in front of you does." So we get there, and the place is packed. There's a guy sitting alone in the front row. Second row, there's a few empty spots, and everything else is packed. So we walk in there. Of course, we're a little bit late, and we walk in, and everyone's kind of looking at us. So we're going to the second row. So now the guys are looking at me like, just follow the guy in front of you. Mass starts. The priest speaking Portuguese. So we have no idea what he's saying. None of us speak Portuguese. So we get going. The guy in front of us stands up. We kind of turn back. They're all standing up. We stand up. Guy in front of us kneels. We look back. Everyone else is kneeling. We kneel. After a while, we get pretty common. He stands. We stand. He kneels. We kneel. Well, midway through the mass, he turns up, stands up, turns around, waves. We stand up, turn around, wave. Everyone else is sitting down. So the mass ends, and the crowd parts like the Red Sea, and we're walking out, and the priest grabs us, and now he speaks in English. He says, "Guys, I want to thank you for the work you're doing in our community. It's great that you're giving back and the clinics, and I do want to apologize for our congregation, but I announced that there had been a birth in the church, and with the proud father, please." Miscues I have here, really not going to be a problem. One last story, because a couple of guys who were peppering me. This is like a murderer's row right here, talking about our team and what we're going to do and what do I need to motivate them. And they had brilliant suggestions. The whole Colgate uses crest. Lane! Dan's going to have to step it up a little bit. I'm just saying. But, it's all right, Dan, because I'm going to take, I was a Division II and Division III head coach for a number of years, and then I had the opportunity to go to Bucknell University. I was there for 7 years, and we had a great run before I came here. But my first game as a head coach at Bucknell, we were playing University of Maryland. And we were the decided underdogs. I'm like, I've got to have the pregame talk to end all pregame talks. And I grew up in Wisconsin, a big Green Bay Packer fan, a big Vince Lombardi fan, and I read everything I can about great coaches, motivators, and talk about his speech before the first Super Bowl that they won. They said, guys, we've done all the work we need to do. We've prepared. You don't need to be overwhelmed with fear or anxiety. Just go out there and make sure that you have your priorities in order. God, your family, and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm like, God, your family, Bucknell basketball. Pretty good. God, your family, Bucknell basketball. So the guys come in, they get ready, they get all fired up, ready to go. I said, guys, we've done all the work we need to do. Prepared. Time is right. Just keep your priorities in mind. God, your family, and the Green Bay Packers. We got beat by 29 points. So, hopefully our guys do a little better. I've learned from it. I just talked a little bit. When Father Peter asked me to speak, I'm like, well, what do you want me to talk about? So I thought what I'd talk about a little bit of how I approach coaching my team and how maybe there's some parallels from my faith and how we draw on my faith in a place where it's a secular world, it's a public university, and finding that balance. And the thing that I would say is, this is going to be my 22nd year as a head basketball coach, and the longer I'm in coaching, the more I realize it's way less about what kind of defense we run, what kind of offense we run. It's way more about the culture and the values that create our program. So we're in the process of hopefully renovating our locker room at Eagle Bank Arena, which is called the Patriot Center, but Eagle Bank Arena. Now listen, change is okay. Okay, unless you want to get rid of these. Okay, because we didn't have these when I was your age. So, but anyway, in our locker room, I'm a big believer in a vision. And selling who we are, what we're about. And so one of the side walls I had at Bucknell, hopefully sooner rather than later. Things take a lot longer to get done in a state school. It's unbelievable. Will be a slogan called "Burn Your Boats." And I'll tell you the story. In 711, King Tariq of North Africa was asked to liberate Spain from their oppressive ruler. And as the story goes, King Tariq and his men, 10,000 men, landed on the shores of Gibraltar, all right, to liberate Spain. And they were met by 60,000 Spaniards. So they're outnumbered 6-1. And he waited till all the boats landed on shore, all the men came off the boat, and his first order was, burn the boats. His men looked at him like, burn your boats. And they had to burn their boats, and the message was, we're all in. We're either going to win a glorious victory, or we're going to have an awful defeat. But there's no retreat. And it was one of the greatest military victories, outnumbered 6-1 at that time. And for my team, and I think for everyone, I think the challenge is to get people to burn their boats. Because so often with the guys on my team that I've coached here or coached anywhere else, I think for all of us in our daily walk, it's easy to have one foot on land, one foot in the sea. Okay, I bought in to playing on this basketball team as long as I'm starting. Okay, or as long as I'm scoring all the time, as long as practices aren't too hard. Okay, and I think it's the same thing with all of us in our life. Like it's easy to be bought in when things are going well. It's a lot harder when you get a little tired or things don't go your way. And I think that that's really, really essential for our team. You've got to burn your boats. You can't be in today and out the next day. Are you in or are you out? And we ask our guys that all the time. Are you in or are you out? And you have to have that full-out commitment and devotion if you want to be as good as you can be as a student athlete. And I think it's the same thing for all of us. If you want to be as good as you can be as a student, if you want to be as good as you can be trying to in your daily walk of faith, to burn your boats, to not look back, to not have excuses, to not have alibis of why you didn't go as far as you could go. And I think certainly it's a historical anecdote that I share with them, but I think it's biblically based in the sense of all in, total commitment, even if at times it doesn't always seem to make sense. Because it's amazing what can happen when you get a group of people who are passionately committed to a goal and an objective. They can overcome all barriers. And I think that's reflective of everything that we have to do as human beings living in a challenging world. The second side, so I talked to our guys about a vision. It's burn your boats, and on the other wall in our locker room will be a quote from Vincent Barty. And it's, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. And for me, with our team, the guys that I coach, and if any of you have played sports, you all know that you can play against an inferior opponent and win, play poorly, perform poorly, and win on the score. That's not excellence. You also know you can play against a far superior opponent, play really, really well, come out on the short end of the score, but that was an excellent performance. It's the same, in the class for you. For some of you, a C in organic chemistry is an unbelievably great grade. Okay? And a B plus in another class, you've underachieved. That you could have gotten an A. But the point is, for our guys, talking about, we don't talk about wins and losses. We talk about excellence. Trying to be as good as we can be every single day. Knowing that there's going to be things that we can't control. To focus on the things we can control. And with that, we always talk about embrace the process. The process of getting better a little bit every single day. And not worry so much about the end result. I think for student athletes, what really screws them up is thinking so far long term. Well, if we win this game, we should be able to win the next game. Dan was talking about watching, among others, and I watched some films, so you're preaching to the choir. Playing really, really well against a good team and underachieving against a bad team. It's the worst thing you can do. Look, get over intimidated by an opponent. This team is supposed to be so great, or take an opponent lightly. We're going to beat this team. We're going to beat up on them. If you look too far down the road, I think you can really get messed up. And I think the goal is to embrace the process and try to be as good as you can possibly be. And if you do it, you're going to have a chance to be successful. So that's our vision. And we talked to our guys a lot about our vision. Burn your boats and pursuing excellence rather than wins and losses. And those will be on the side of our locker room. Over our board will be our values. And it's amazing. My second year as a coach at Bucknell, we went to play a game at Dartmouth. And Dartmouth's a great university. One of the best academic schools in the country. historically one of the worst basketball programs in the country. And the only reason we're playing the game at Dartmouth is to try to get a win. We're a young team trying to emerge, and we went up and we were awful. We scored 41 points, got beat. It was supposed to be a 7-hour bus ride home. It was a blizzard, 9.5, 10-hour bus ride home. I was ready to jump off the bus. I mean, that was a long, long, long night. And as I watched the film and vented and fumed and all that kind of stuff, it really crystallized to me what's important to me. Okay, what is important to me? What do we have to change if we're going to get our program to where it needs to be? And it wasn't about what our offense was. It wasn't about our defense. I just said there's certain things I can't tolerate anymore. There's certain things that I have to see from my team no matter what. And so I was up all night and I said, what are my core values? What are the things that I want our program and our team to be about? And I came up with them. And they're spiritually based, I would say. And part of that was reading about Dick Bennett. A lot of you from this area probably know Tony Bennett, coach at the University of Virginia. His dad, Dick Bennett, was a great high school and college basketball coach at University of Wisconsin, and he had his pillars, and they were biblically based, and they were what he really stressed to his team. And so I couldn't just steal Dick Bennett's, and it had to reflect who I am and what I'm about. So we came up with our 4 core values, and they're passion, talk, toughness, and focus. And there are things that we talk about with our team every single day. And for me, I've never seen a team, I've never seen a successful individual who didn't have great passion. And there's a lot of definitions of passion. Passion is joy and excitement, a level of enthusiasm. Ralph Waldo Emerson said nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. But passion also talks about sacrifice. The greatest passion there is, the passion of Christ. And the sacrifice and a love that connects you and binds you. In our case with your teammates, but obviously in Christ's example with all of us. And so we just talk about passion all the time, playing with energy and playing with enthusiasm and a joy. And I do think those of you who came to a lot of games last year, that probably wasn't always evident. But we tell our guys all the time how fortunate they are to be healthy, to have the skill and the ability to play Division I basketball at a place with a rich tradition like George Mason, with the support of so many people, and they're doing everyone a disservice. They don't bring great passion every day. We really stress talking. Now, from a basketball perspective, teams that talk are better on the court. Talking on offense, talking on defense, and it's a lost art. People just they want to be too cool to talk. I tell them, guys, you can't kind of use this to say there's a back screen coming. Siobhan, watch out for the double team. It doesn't work. You have to actually be able to talk and communicate. On another level, talks about that we have a language and a code on how we communicate so that everyone's on the same page. And I think that's the next level of talking that we're trying to get with our team. And then the third level of talking is when you're looking out for each other. Okay? And if somebody's late, the other day for something, and then that guy sat at midcourt and the rest of the team ran for it because you kind of you didn't look out for your teammate. We also said somebody left And the other guy was right down the hall. Look out for your teammates. Extend beyond yourself. Get out of your bubble. When you're really looking out for other people and you're really caring and trying to be proactive in helping a group achieve its goals, it makes you lose your self-obsession and your complete inward focus, and helps you worry about other people. And then to me, the highest level of talk is when you can constructively confront your teammates or somebody in your family or somebody that you care about here in the church or at CCM or whatever. But you can't constructively confront somebody, in my opinion, until they know that you legitimately care about them, that you have a connection, that you've gotten to know them. And then you can constructively confront them. So we talk about passion, talk, toughness, physical, mental, emotional toughness in the face of adversity, and then focus. And again, some of the guys are talking about they're playing great, and then all of a sudden, whoa, what happened to that team? And again, the attention span. What the heck did I read? Something. The attention span of your generation is about half of the attention span of my generation, just because of so much instant and access to quick internet. So the ability to learn how to focus is really, really important. But I think all those things, all those core values, certainly aren't, we're not always reading Bible verses to reinforce those, but I think they speak to a commitment level and an awareness of other people that I think has some parallels. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, and my father wanted me to leave some time for some questions. So we talk about our vision, we talk about our values, and then we talk about our voyage. How are we going to get there? Okay? And what's it going to look like? And this is where we talk about embracing the process. Getting a little bit better every single day. Not looking at this huge task we have to accomplish. Not talking about some of these misguided souls about going to the Final Four again this year. That would be great. That would be awesome. But what we do, everything we do when we compete, we put 4 minutes on the clock. And tomorrow's the first official day of practice where we can do 2 hours a week when before. So we actually practice today for 2 hours, and then we officially start practice tomorrow and put 4 minutes on the clock. You guys know why we're doing that. Because if you bet the games every 4 minutes, there's a media timeout, so people can sell their ads, and Eagle Bank Arena generated money. But we do that. We split everything. We say there's 10 rounds in a basketball game. They're 4-minute rounds, and we win this round. Don't worry about winning the game. Don't worry about what the scores they have to have. Win this round. So if we're down by 8, we're playing a great team, win this round. Win by 1, win by 2, win by 3, break the game into 4-minute segments. If we're beating a team by a lot, you got to win this round. It's 0-0. And try to take one possession at a time. I think it also allows our guys to handle failure. Okay, basketball is a game of failure. You're going to miss shots, you're going to get called for fouls. Things like that are going to happen. And probably the hardest thing for the guys I coach, who've all been all state, all this, all that, is when they get to college, it's the first time that they really have to handle significant adversity. On the big scheme of things, we try to reinforce, okay, you're 2 for 9, okay, the world's still spinning, all right? Somebody's going to make sure you get fed tomorrow. Like, it's not the end of the world. But it's the first time they've dealt with adversity. And as I was thinking about this talk, and if I have any words of wisdom, and I don't have many, but for all of you, because it seemed like it wasn't that long ago that I was sitting here, but it was a long, long time ago. But you're all going to screw up. You're all going to have frustrations. You're all going to, fail at something. And you got to embrace the process, and you got to look at one possession at a time, and you got to break it into small, digestible chunks and how you get better. Because when I was in college, I just assumed, your life would just kind of go like that. It doesn't go like that, let me tell you. And you can try everything you want. It's not really like that. And you got to learn how to embrace the process, know there's ups and downs, know there's adversity, and keep moving forward. And you do it, I think, by having a burn your boats philosophy. But I'm all in no matter what. I signed up for this, for the good and the bad. I'm all in. And you do this with an image of perfection is not attainable. But we're going to try to chase perfection and catch excellence. But take it one step at a time, because you're going to screw up. You're going to have frustration. Things beyond your control are going to happen. That's one thing we try to talk to our team about. Control what you can control. And stop worrying about the refs. Because the refs stink. It's just part of it. Okay? Father Eric, I'm going to rephrase it. Control what you control. Stop worrying about the refs, Father Eric. I heard about you. No. Keep getting on the refs. That's okay. We can influence them. No. But there's certain things you can control, and there's a lot of other things you can't control. And we we haven't done it yet. We got a lot of things to do with our team, but with a lot of guys, especially when I meet with guys individually, I share with them something from Stephen Covey. Anyone ever read or heard anything of Stephen Covey? He's got a whole bunch of books out. Probably the most famous, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Again, the success, motivational thing, but definitely with a spiritual bent towards it. But he talked about your circle of influence and your circle of concern. And your circle of concern is all the things that concern you and you worry about. And your circle of influence is what you can control. And what you can work creatively, proactively to expand your circle of influence, or you can complain and whine or make excuses, and your circle of influence actually shrinks. And so that's what we try to tell to our guys, and that's what I'd say to all of you, whether you're freshmen, whether you're seniors. It's a roller coaster, and there's ups and there's downs, and you got to embrace the process and do what you can to expand your circle of influence. And accept failure. The other thing that I think would relate to what I do with our team, to all of you here, we talk about we're trying to beat the game. We're trying to beat ourselves in terms of play the best we're capable of playing. I talk to our guys a lot of the time about we're playing against the game. We're not playing against VCU or Rhode Island. We're playing against the game, and our standards of perfection are as close to it as we can get. And that's really important. And not worry, who is this guy? Well, this guy's bigger. Or this guy's ahead of me. If my individual player does what he's capable of doing, he's going to do pretty well. If our team does what we're capable of doing, we're going to play pretty well. And none of that stuff matters. I think so often, at least with a lot of people that I grew up with, people of my generation often misguidedly judge themselves in comparison to other people. Okay? And, there's always going to be someone who's got a better job, a nicer house, a better car, whatever it is. All those external factors don't bring happiness, and I've seen a lot of people that I care about a lot get screwed up because they're worrying about the external rather than their own internal, their growth and their development. And certainly something that I try to stress with our team, let's just be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. If their team beats us, they beat us. Because more games, I believe, are lost than are won. More teams are destroyed from within than from without. Okay? And certainly more lives are destroyed eternally by choices we make or habits of mind that can be corrected by just focusing internally rather than externally. Two other things, and then I definitely want to take questions. Because Father said, well, how do you blend being a Catholic, how do you blend your faith with your team? And you know, we have an eclectic group here. I've had an eclectic group other places. At least for me, I'm not overly evangelistic in any way, shape, or form. I also don't profess to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. So it's a little awkward for me to be up here, stand in front of you, because I don't have it figured out either. But more on an individual basis, one-on-one, just talking, you know, because I see our guys with their highest highs, I see them at their lowest lows. You know, I really get to know them well. You know, the average professor at George Mason might teach a person for 3 hours a week, maybe, 30, 40 kids in the class. You might have that professor 2 or 3 times. I've got 14 kids. I get them 2 to 3 hours a day, 6 days a week for 4 years. I see everything about them. So I'm just stressing, you know, be comfortable who you are and what you're doing and what grounds you, and talk about faith in a more general way. But one thing I do this at least once a year, because I can be tough on my guys. And I'm pretty direct with them. And especially the ones who I have a chance for see a chance for greatness. So one of the things that I often do, pretty much every year, is I'll bring a guy in and I'll make him read the parable of the talents. And just talk about, which I think is for me, you know, the fact that the coins were actually called talents. And you have this talent and you need to invest it. And to whom much is given, much is expected. And don't shield your talent, but use your talent and let it blossom. I do that quite a bit. And the last thing I would say, and this is just something that I think about in building a team, that learning how to have constructive confrontation, I think is really the defining aspect of a really good team. You see teams where nobody wants to rock the boat, and nobody wants to hold people accountable, and they don't want to offend anyone. And those teams are never very good. They're never very disciplined. Things like that. In my years of coaching, I've also had a lot of individuals who really want to be leaders, who really want to hold guys accountable, but do it in such a judgmental, confrontational way where they've never gotten to know their teammates. And it's always destructive confrontation. So I talk to our guys a lot about having to have a platform for leadership, that you have to walk the walk before you can talk the talk. That you know, and I'll be, well, coach, I'm so mad at this guy, he didn't do this, he didn't do this. I'm like, how many brothers and sisters does he have? You don't know, you know. And they have to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And you have to, how have you bailed them out? Have you been proactive with this guy? Once you've done that, then I think you have a platform for constructive confrontation. And that's, to me, as I was thinking about things, it just, you know, the Pope's visit was really uplifting and great, and it just the message, and I can't claim to have watched everything or listened to everything, but there's a message of love and inclusion, and I think too often in all churches, the thing that turns me off is the condemnation, the judging, without the spirit of love that goes along with it. And that, to me, isn't the message that I read growing up, that I read now, you know. And to me, my challenge would be to all of you, to me, and every day is a challenge in our faith, to grow in our faith, to find ways to continue to improve individually, and then to share that with people, because that's what's important, but to do it in a constructive way. And at times, the people who you're going to have the most success constructively confronting are the ones who you have a personal relationship with. And I think the people that are so moralistic and so judgmental, I think they're counterproductive. And I just think of Christ saying, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And this is just me, just because I got the mic. I don't think it does anyone any good. And I think the people who are loving, who are caring, who are unwavering in their faith, and who live a life of example, and then it doesn't mean you run away from any confrontation, because I've coached guys that never want to confront people, but at the right and appropriate time, then we'll know. And the person that we're speaking with, if that's the situation, we'll know that is merited and comes out of a spirit of love, as opposed to self-righteous act. So that's what I had. Father, I'll be very honest, as part of confession, I did write this up while I was in Mass. That's my confession. But I think we got a few minutes if anyone has any questions. And thank you again for the opportunity to come here.
Questions.
So when you first came to Mason, you gave your speech to George Mason when you first got here. You said to your team that it wasn't you who chose me, but I who chose you. Did that come to you to the moment, or did you actually read that in John's Gospel?
I didn't read it in John's Gospel. I got it from the Gospel of Lou Holtz. Coach at Notre Dame. Now listen, most everything I've gotten I've stolen. So Lou Holtz told his Notre Dame team that when he took the job. Heard that, I'm like, I like that. But I think he was like, hey, you didn't choose me. These kids didn't choose to come to George Mason to play for me. But I chose them. There were plenty of other opportunities I had in the previous few years to go and coach at other universities, and I chose not to because I had a good situation, and I wasn't going to leave for something I didn't think had a chance to be a great situation. So that was the point. And then Father Peter stole that from me. Other questions?
Is Siobhan Thompson healthy?
That's a good question. Yes, right now he is. He got banged up quite a bit last year. So yes, he's able to practice. He's still, he's got some flexibility. Like he's got to work on his flexibility and some core stability stuff. So when we practice really hard, really long, that's, it's a big body. So he's still got some things to overcome, I guess, in terms of being able to be healthy day in, day out. But the short answer, yes.
What can we do to support you in your game?
Pray. Okay. Come to the games and be loud and have fun. I think it helps. I know it helps to make it a raucous environment. And I think it benefits everyone because you come to the games, it helps our team. If our team's good, probably more people want to come to games. But I think, certainly when it was rolling not too long ago, it's a pretty fun, and if the team's playing well, you got a lot of students there, it's a pretty fun night for you guys as well. And I think, you can watch a game streaming on your computer. You can watch things like that. There's nothing replaces being there, being in the moment, sharing it with with your buddies in the dorm or CCM. And I think that's important. If we have a raucous environment, let's be honest, if kids come to visit, it helps us in recruiting, okay? And then the other thing I would say, and this really would help because it's really important to me that our guys are part of the core fabric of this university. It's really important for me and my family to be invested, engaged on campus. You know, it's basketball is really, really important, but we're part of a larger mission here at the university. So you'll see me at as much things as I can be at. I was at Arts by George the other night, and we'll try to go to as many things as I can bring my family to. That's important. I want our guys to do that. I don't think that was necessarily as much the case in the past as I would like. And so I would say, stop up to, if you see them at the John Center, talk to them. And if they're aloof, send me an email. Because that's not okay. And I can't see, because, they're fortunate, they're blessed. And I said, if you graduate from George Mason and your only friends are the 12 or 13 guys on the team, then you've really missed out. And so I want them invested and engaged. And you might think, oh, there's this big 6'9", 6'10" guy, it's intimidating. They might be intimidated by you as well in terms of everyone, or most people, most everyone, is intimidated in areas where they're not immediately comfortable. So I think the more welcoming you are to them, the more hopefully you'll see they're really good guys. They really are. Sometimes I want to strangle them. Sometimes probably you want to strangle them. But we're not going to do that, okay? But they're really, really good guys. And I would like to think that, well, when you come to games, you're going to see play really hard. You're going to see play with a lot of passion. I'd like to think also that you would see, you know what? They just kind of act a little different on campus. They're just a little bit more accessible. They're just a little bit more engaged. I would like to think that you'd see that, because that's really important to me, and we're working really hard at creating that kind of culture. Other questions? Yes.
What will the offense look like this year?
Passion, talk, toughness, focus. And not being flip, I don't entirely know, because I'm still getting to learn our team. We have 6 returning players on our team and 6 freshmen. Okay? How many of you heard of Al McGuire? Ever heard of Al McGuire? Coach at Catholic school not too long ago, Marquette University, won the national championship. Then went into TV, and he had one famous line: the best thing about freshmen is eventually they become sophomores. Okay? I mean, they're just up and down. I mean, I walked out of the gym one day, I'm like, that guy's going to be unbelievable. The next day, I'm like, that guy's never played basketball before in his life. And probably think back to, if, we have any freshmen in here? Guy? All right, good. See how clueless they look back there?
I don't know.
That's what my guys look like. So, what will the offense like? In all seriousness, I'll tell you, we're going to throw the ball inside a lot. We're going to be big. We're going to be big. We'll throw the ball inside a lot. We're inexperienced at the guard positions. You got to have some kind of balance. But Siobhan Thompson's big, but 2 other guys that have played well, and we haven't, it's all been kind of preseason, but Marco has played very well, and Jalen Jenkins has played very well. And I think both Marco and Jalen really kind of were up and down last year. So if they can continue that, those are 3 pretty good, pretty big guys. And so, every year we're going to try to play to our strengths. Other questions? Yes?
No, and so going back to those 4 core values we were talking about, which one is probably like the hardest for you to cultivate on the team? How do you do that?
And what's that?
How do you do that? If it's challenging, then how like confront that challenge?
Well, you know, being a coach is a little bit like being a preacher or a priest. Because you gotta sell them and you gotta convert them to your way of thinking, and you use all appropriate means at your disposal. So you brainwash them. I yell. We run. We correct on film. We will have our team construct their own core covenant with some guidelines for you, like what should be involved in that. Try to hold them accountable. We have try to get different people to come in and speak about leadership. We actually give every guy a book called the Team Captain's Leadership Manual, and we'll go through it. And it's funny that balance. Like, they think I'm insane already. So, like, I gotta, little piece at a time. But what's the hardest? They're all hard, to be honest with you. Toughness. We live in an increasingly pampered society, and emotional toughness. I just gotta make sure it's not, no. To make sure it wasn't my daughter who was stranded. So, just kind of mental toughness, handling adversity. You know, I think that's challenging. But every guy, some guys are different. This guy, you can't get. Marquise Moore on our team. Let me go to our games like fairly regularly. He's a great kid. He is a great penetrator. He's a point guard. He doesn't talk. So like Marquise, you can't be a point guard and not talk. Like, you got to do it. Now he's tough. Now he's focused. He's passionate in his own way, but he doesn't talk. All right. The next guy, it might be toughness or other guy might be focus. And a couple of guys were sitting here earlier. Like 4 minutes, they look great. The next 4 minutes, like, what are they doing? So it's a different challenge for each guy, I would say. Anything else?
I think we're good. Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, thanks everyone.